I am recording, Higgins. So if you have anything to kick us off, I'd love to hear it.
Well, you see here, we got a radio broadcast for you here. We're jumping back into the 1940s, and it's gonna be a real fun time.
I'm having fun already.
Here,
Was that good? Did that sound like a thing that people did back then?
In the 40s? I don't know. I mean, Higgins,
I don't think anyone of us were alive.
I don't know if I can answer that question confidently, but I will say yes, 100%.
All right, cool.
Thank you for that. Thank you for everything else that you do, and let's just get into an episode of the show.
All right.
Good. Welcome everyone to the Comixology Club. It's a podcast where I, Snoop Lynch, and my completely sober co-host Higgins Sturm.
Hey, that's me.
Oh, so sober right now, yes.
No, we're on the back half of it, and the Manhattans have hit me.
And they hit hard. But yes, we're here. Heath is definitely here. He'll speak later. He's just going to let us do our thing quietly. So respectful, that guy. But yeah, we are a podcast where we read together, we drink together. Higgins has been doing a lot of that. I've been doing some of that also. And more importantly, we're friends. Or maybe we're not. Higgins had a realization earlier or later in the episode. Look forward to that.
Yeah, I want to have sex with Snoop. Sorry.
It's just angry sex, though. The kind where you're like, why are we doing this? But at the same time, you know exactly why we're doing this. But before we get more into that, let's talk about our sponsor of this completely wholesome and family-friendly show, Erin Lopez and her husband, Michael Lopez, and their business, 008 Studios.
The big boss.
The biggest boss.
And our guest boss.
Yeah. And we mean like biggest as in like, you know, like the power that she gives off.
Yeah,
like,
not the size.
No. But if she was the biggest boss in that way, that's fine too, you know?
She'd be really tall.
So yes, 008 Studios, it is a business where those people we mentioned, they help produce things, books, video game, comic on the way, Higgins. Looking forward to that because that's what we do here.
Yeah, we'll read it.
We'll read it and we'll talk about it. But we're talking about Michael's business right now. Sorry, Erin and Michael's business right now. So if you're a person who, maybe you're a writer, maybe you're like, I love writing, but I don't know how to write book or more importantly, get funding for book.
I don't know how to get a editor.
Oh, mate, you need those when you're doing the writing of the book. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michael's the guy you want to go to because he can help you find those people. He connects people. He's like, hey, you do this and you do that. Why don't you do it together? And we'll find money for it. So I'm going to leave a link for his business website, 008studios.com or 0-8studios.com. And
there you go. You got it.
Yeah, I got it. And you can get it, but you don't have to. You just click on the link at the bottom of this episode and it'll take you straight there. If maybe you're just one of those guys, you're like, I love buying local small business merch. He's got some of that too. You can buy a hoodie, a button, books that we mentioned that are out. He did 5 books last year. He's got 8 projects on the way this year. Big stuff happening, big stuff, and we're happy to be a part of it. Also, a thing that we're happy to be a part of is we've been doing the Year of the Guest, as you know, Higgins.
That's our thing this year.
That's right. We've had people like who have we had? We had
Michael.
We had Michael. He's important.
We had somebody else.
We had Soulstar Sketchin.
Yeah.
Great cast. Love that. Love that episode. We talked about Mark Miller's thing, what he's up to. We had the brothers, Ethan and Zach. That was great.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more.
Yeah, we got Heath right here.
You better be ready.
Yeah, we got Heath right here on the couch. Again, he's so quiet, so respectful. We love that. Well, he'll talk later when it's time, when we talk about a book. But anyway, it's the Year of the Guest, but we're also doing special episodes with special guests. And one we got lined up is a Mr. Andy Ewington. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Now, unfortunately, because of time differences and video call needs and such, you will not be available for that. But Michael's
he's in the
UK.
In the UK.
So I've been told.
And I surprisingly enough have another job besides this.
I thought you were going to say surprisingly you weren't in the UK, which is also true.
Yeah.
But yes, you have your day job. Unfortunately, schedules just don't mix up, and you're taking that sacrifice and not going to be here. So instead, myself and Michael Lopez, the guy we've been mentioning.
Thank goodness.
Michael's going to step up, take your place, and he's going to help me. We're going to talk to Andy and specifically about one of his books, Freeway Fighter. So it's very Mad Max heavy, wouldn't you say, Higgins?
Yeah, it looks that way. I'll be be sure to read it, and then maybe give the guys a couple of my points.
Oh, you can give us a little audio review that I can splice into that special
Yeah,
episode.
I'll give my end of podcast review.
Love that. Big fan of that. Looking forward to it. So yes, we are going to record that later this month, and I'll get it out when it's ready. So look forward to that. Maybe look forward to another special episode that Higgins will be a part of later in the year. And of course, look forward to what we're going to do with Heath here in a second. I know he's just look at him, Higgins. He's just dying to talk right there on that couch.
He's jumping.
Oh, jumping with joy, quietly and
I don't
respectfully.
even have enough room in my house for how much he's jumping.
And the fan's up top too. It's very dangerous, but he doesn't care. That's how excited he is. And we're excited to have him. And we're excited to be the official podcast of 008 Studios. So with all that being said, let's just let Heath finally speak up, get off that couch, and get into the book, shall we?
Yeah.
Higgins, we're here, all three of us, like we've been the whole time. You, me, and our friend Heath.
Yeah, it's enough about that Michael guy.
He's at it too good for too long, quite frankly. But we love talking about him and all the other things that we were doing all together when we were all in the same room at the same time.
And especially stop talking about that Erin, our big boss.
Oh, man, she's gonna be a pretty big part of some month's episode later down the line. Look forward to that, everyone. You too, Michael. But enough about Michael. And instead, since we got Heath here, let's talk about a little book called The Fade Out.
Yeah, I'm good with that. First of all, do you want to tell him who's with us?
Who's with? Heath. He's here with us. Essentially, your disc golf buddy, as you introduced him last time.
He's my disc golf buddy, and I would even call him just a buddy.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you call him your disc
I've been
golf
upgraded
friend.
to friend.
I've done stuff outside of disc golf with him, so I'm gonna go ahead and just say buddy.
That's a pretty serious move on your part, Higgins. And I mean, I don't know if other people don't know this, but you're not exactly one to commit. So Heath, really, just appreciate where you're at.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate that you're going to talk to us about the book, The Fade Out. The first 6 issues, this is a 12-issue series.
That's the full run, right? The 12 issues?
It's the full run. We're not talking about all of it. And Heath might have some thoughts about that because we were talking a little bit before the show. And it sounds like he's wanting a little more.
Yes, I'm a little salty about how we ended on the cliffhanger.
We did.
We might have to have a part 2.
But honestly, I mean, I feel like every issue of this is a cliffhanger, and that's kind of the vibe of the setting we're in. This is Higgins. I actually sent you a text message. It's, if you wouldn't mind reading that out to me and Heath and the rest of the audience to set the mood for this book we're talking about today.
You sent it to me right now, or has it been a while?
It's been a minute, but it should be there. It's a little synopsis of this book, Higgins, and I wanted you to read it out. You could do that voice thing that you did earlier if you want.
Oh man, I'm gonna need to find that. When did you send that?
Higgins, I don't want to be like specific, but it happened about 10 to 15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. It hasn't came through yet for some reason.
Well, that's more your Wi-Fi's fault than mine, isn't it?
You sent me a text?
Higgins, check your phone.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's delivered. It's right here.
I don't have that.
Everyone else can see this.
I don't have that. You gotta hand that to me. I don't have that for whatever reason.
He's gonna be the.
I'll step in. I'll read it. How about that?
I love it.
I'll do the 1940s voice though, Heath.
All right, Hollywood, 1948, a noir film stuck. Never mind. You can read this.
All right.
Woo! You're good.
All right, here's our synopsis. Hollywood, 1948, a noir film stuck in endless reshoots. A writer plagued with nightmares from the war and a dangerous secret. An up-and-coming starlet's suspicious death and a maniacal studio mogul and his security chief will do anything to keep the cameras rolling before the post-war boom days come crashing down.
It's great. It's exactly what I need. Thank you.
3.5 stars.
Do you want this back?
Sure.
All right.
Flawless toss back. Appreciate
God,
that.
I wish we had that on camera.
A little hot potato.
I mean, you hear it in the microphones, so that's good enough, right? But yes, that is the setting of this book. And anyone who is a fan of this particular creative team, this isn't necessarily anything surprising, but also very surprising. So this was written by Ed Brubaker, art by Sean Phillips, a classic duo.
A classic team. They make so many good comic books.
They make nothing but good comic books, Higgins, and this one's a good one too.
I'm telling you right now, if you like this one, read everything they make. Specifically To Kill or Be Killed.
I mean, it had me reeled in.
Because that was the other
Art,
option we gave
everything.
for him. I gave you only Ed Brubaker to like choose from.
Yeah, and I think it's a good call because Heath, you don't read is this your first comic you've read actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
First one that I've actually sat down and read. I mean, besides from being a kid.
Oh,
and
okay,
having
yeah,
a few
yeah.
of those, but
But as an adult man with like thoughts and feelings, this is the first adult comic book that you've read.
correct.
Good. And I think Higgins picked a good writer for you because Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, again, just classic duo, written Kill or Be Killed. Books like Cruel Summer, not the Taylor Swift song, Criminal, Fatale, this one in
East
particular.
to West, did they do that one?
They did not. Someone else did that, maybe, but
Just
that's a good book too, I think.
Just close my mouth then.
well, so I didn't do a ton of research on this because I was just enraptured in the 1940 story. But one thing I did find out about this, which is kind of a big deal in the comics industry, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips wrote this with Image. They've written countless other books with Image, some of the ones I mentioned.
That's
but-
just because Image likes to do stuff that's not superheroes.
yeah, and
And that's why we love them.
it's why we love them. They let creators just be creators. And again, a big deal in the comic industry for this book and this team. Image gave them a 5-year deal. Ed Brubaker called it a 5-year do anything we want to deal. So it seems like normally how this would go is you would, you're writing for Marvel, you're writing for DC, you're writing for Image, whatever it is, you go, you pitch a story, and a lot of factors play into whether or not they give you the money and the team and the whatever for it.
Yeah.
And the biggest part of it is this going to sell? Now with this deal, which apparently is kind of a first of its kind in the comic industry, a lot of that stuff is just, it doesn't even matter. If Ed Brubaker writes a story and wants to go to Image with it, they're like, do it. We're here for it.
If he writes a story, people are going to read it, basically.
I think so. And I think that's kind of again, with this team and how their books have been received over the years, I think that's what led into this deal. I don't know of any other deal like this. I just found out about it today after doing some research. But the reason why Ed Brubaker wanted this to be the first book in that deal is mostly just because no one's doing anything like this. They do books like this where it's kind of got that realistic, grounded, criminals be criminal, but nothing is set in this era. And also this specific part of this era. So 1940s Hollywood,
I
which
will
is super shady.
say that like it's probably one of the only comics that's felt like a movie more than any other like comic we've read so far.
It's got the production value of a Hollywood.
Yeah, it's got the writing, and the frame by frame kind of deal. They like do the back and the forth, the flashbacks and all that.
It's got real people. Clark Gable is
Yeah.
in this for some reason.
Yeah, and Ronald Reagan.
And Ronnie Reagan.
Oh, Ronnie Reagan.
Yeah.
As,
Ava
as they like
Gardner's in
affectionately
this?
called him.
Yeah, it's just, and apparently some of these characters are loosely based on relatives of Ed Brubaker who were in this era of Hollywood doing these things. He had, I think, an uncle who was a writer similar to the writer we see here in the main character of Charlie Parrish, an aunt who was kind of like the Dottie character. So he's got a little bit of background and history with that. And I think the other reason, to play to your point, the reason why it feels so real is because they had a assistant come in and research this era of Hollywood. That way Sean Phillips knew exactly how to draw this, and it did feel very real. Like the settings, even the things in the background, like everything they were doing just felt like something that someone would have been doing in this era. And that's great for immersion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super familiar with comics in general, as we discussed before, but I mean, I felt like I was actually there. Like what was going on was very well illustrated.
And I've always gotten that sense with a Sean Phillips kind of artwork layout. Everything he does is very well detailed and also kind of just not gross, but just lived in, I guess.
He's a comics books boy. if I can tell you, because it's like, like we always say, the blackest of blacks. When it hits, and then like, he knows how to bring it in. I don't know if there's a colorist besides him. Oh, Elizabeth Brightweiser.
Elizabeth Brightwire.
Wiser.
That
Wiser.
person does colors. Yes, I don't know why that's hard
She
for me.
really nailed it too. Because on top of his drawing, like the entire time, like you're looking at it and it looks like a noir film.
That was where I was kind of going with that in my head is I think Sean Phillips brings the aesthetic of a film noir, and her colors set the tone of whatever we're supposed to be feeling as we read a certain scene. So
It felt like a Casablanca,
very much, yeah.
where it's like you got these guys in like suits and ties, and then like all the shadows just hit exactly right.
it's super just heavy contrast and like
It's-
cinematic, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
One of those ones where it like I don't know exactly how to say it, but it's like the art kind of does a little more of the talking than we normally see in a normal comic book.
Yeah, it absolutely kind of
It,
gives
like-
you that mindset of what are the characters that we're seeing, like, and what are they doing? How are they feeling? And you get that sense in the art.
I kind of got Sin City vibes from this. I don't know if
Oh,
you guys have seen
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Same kind of deal where it's like a little bit of just a noir film basically
Mhm.
is what they put it in.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've seen a couple kind of stories, mostly in movies and like some TV stuff, set in this old Hollywood era, and I've always kind of just enjoyed that because, I mean, people always talk about how messed up Hollywood is these days, but it's definitely more corporate-esque than anything, and that's where a lot of the shittiness comes from. But these are criminals just making movies and covering up what they're doing.
Yeah, before
What if-
Hollywood got all PC. Yeah.
Maybe like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino joint
I
mixed
haven't
with like
seen that one yet. I want to.
mixed with like Mulholland Drive.
I haven't seen Mulholland Drive. One thing that this reminded me of
God,
was,
you guys got to watch it.
yeah.
It's
Have you seen
a
the
slick
movie
flick.
Hail Caesar?
Yeah.
Plot wise, there's a lot of kind of similar elements in that in this as well. And again, just you're seeing these people who probably all should be in jail for some reason, but they're not because they're just bribing cops, and it's a messed up thing. I mean, the opening scene of this is the main writer Charlie waking up in a bathtub because he's drunk and he can't remember anything.
He's coming off a blackout swing,
Yeah,
and apparently that's just a normal night for him.
yes, because he's a raging alcoholic for.
Apparently everybody is.
And that again is the fascinating part of this era because this is 1948, so just 3 years post the end of World War II, and it's people who were in combat. Charlie's one of them.
He was I think you can gather from like the first 6 issues that he was at the war, but it was more of like an artist perception of the war.
He
And
was,
what I gathered, he was like riding along basically.
yeah. There's in this first half, the first 6 issues, he mentions that he at one point was friends or at least connected with Clark Gable, and that goes into the war flashbacks where he went with Clark Gable to film like documentary stuff and was doing the writing for him.
Kind
And-
of like what we talked about in our last episode with Michael, where there was the people coming into the war effort with like cameras and microphones and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Charlie compared to those characters from that book was obviously no zombies, but also those people that they were based off of didn't actually see anything. They did their photo op and then they went home. Charlie, though, because he was with Clark Gable, who wanted to be on the front lines, he may not have actually like killed anyone himself, but he was in the middle of pretty heavy stuff. And as a result of that, he can't write anymore.
Getting shot at in planes and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
What it seemed to me from his flashbacks, he was in the planes with the people that were dropping bombs on any and every location they thought was fit.
Almost like PTSD writer's block type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that too is what makes this so compelling is, again, you have all these people who are just broken because of course they would be, whether they shot someone or saw someone got shot or just anything that they experience. This is only a few years after all of that, and they're just expected to go back and do what they were doing before. That's another element of this as well that I thought was really interesting to bring up is Charlie was one of the great writers of his time before the war happened. Then he went over and did the stint, and now as a result, he can't write anymore. He's a drunk. He has a strained relationship with basically anybody. He doesn't trust anybody, and yeah, he's just expected to carry on. Heath, reading this like kind of as your first return to comics, following the narrative with the artwork and everything, just give me some thoughts, like kind of as you're reading this, as it's unfolding for you, because I mean, this is Higgins and I talk about it all the time. Comics, the way that they pace themselves, it's so much different than like TV or movies or whatever. So yeah, how did that work for you?
Yeah. I mean, my wife will tell me and everyone else that I do not read books. So it is not something that I'm used to.
Okay.
The images add a lot of color and a lot of visualization for me.
Okay.
I was really fully involved in this story. It was a lot going on. It seemed like a wild time to be alive, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you got drunks, you got, womenizing, you got all kinds of crazy stuff, paying off cops, murder in your backyard, all kinds of things, man.
Yeah, and that's pretty, like, everything you just said more or less happens in the first issue alone, and there's still 5 more to go. And this is
there's like one of the first like scenes is like Charlie's just like hanging out in a coat room and a girl's giving him a blowjob.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're
No
like,
mention
hold
of
on,
it.
hold
He's
on,
just there.
don't worry. He's like, hey man, hang back for a sec. I'm just gotta get my pants backed up.
Yeah. She said she was a dancer, and then that's the only image that's there. And then it comes back out to a fight, and it's like, well, that wasn't really needed. It just kind of shows what's going on in this time period.
Exactly. It's there to build the world that they're introducing you to. And I think, again, like a team like this, they've written so many books, not just in their own personal careers, but also together. They work so well together. I love this creative team.
I think like 90% of the books that Ed Brubaker puts out is with Sean Phillips.
Yeah, more or less. I don't think they really work with anyone else that much these days, just because they are so busy. I mean, with this book, this first issue came out maybe like a month after they just finished their last book, which would have been Fatale. And Ed Brubaker said he wanted to go to this story first because no one was really doing it at the time. It was for that first book of this new deal after Fatale, it was between this and a sci-fi story, which he hasn't named or has yet to name. I like that he picked this one because while I love like sci-fi comics, especially seeing this era and like seeing all the things that like Heath was mentioning, you have so many moments like that where, yeah, like there's just a guy getting a blowjob, and then it just cuts to a flashback of the time he was with the woman that was murdered and kind of their connection, and a man who he's so ridden by guilt of things that we have now seen him done in these first 6 issues. I have read all of this, and so just to speak into that a little forward.
Oh, you've read all
I finished this whole thing, and reading it again, like reading just this first 6 issues again, it makes me appreciate the writing even more with the little lines and the little images that Heath was talking about. Like, again, Charlie is a very complex character, and you find out it's not even later as it goes, you find out more and more about the writer's block. It's not just the war. It's literally everything that he does keeps him from doing what he loves to do. And a big part of that, and you can see it in this, is he is a guy who doesn't really think he deserves it because of how awful he can be.
I mean, at the end of the day, he loves being a part of Hollywood. I think that's the thing that drives him the most, is he loves being a part of this thing, whether he hates it or not. He loves being a part of like the parties, the hanging out with Earl. God, what's that guy's name?
Gil
Earl
Mason?
Rath, I
Earl
think, is
Rath?
the famous
movie
guy.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Clark Gable and like all of that. He loves being a part of like the scene, but you see him loving it in like certain like comic book images, and then he's like, God, I hate that I did that.
Yeah, he's got instant regret.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they introduce him, they call him a part-time retrobate, which I had to look that up. I was like, I've never heard that word before.
What does that mean?
It says an unprincipled person. So he has no morals.
Yeah. And in the 40s, I mean, if someone called you that, those are fighting words.
Yeah.
You'd take them out back.
It
Give 'em
felt-
the
There was
one,
plenty
too.
of fighting in this.
There's a lot of fighting in this. Yeah.
It felt a lot like and this is a new age like version of it. There's like a Netflix show called Love with, God, hold on.
With a Hollywood actor by chance?
I was going to say,
No,
did they
it's got,
actually write something based off of this? Because I would love to see that.
And Higgins touched on something I think that kind of sums up this whole era of Hollywood in particular is I think the reason Charlie has to be involved with all this, even though he does kind of hate what it's making him do or what he has done, everyone feels that way. Every character you meet in this, you see little moments where they're like, oh, like I hate I'm having to do these things, or I need to do these things. Because I think in particular with this era of Hollywood, the most important thing to people is feeling like they matter. And you'll do
Yeah.
anything to get that feeling.
And then like the biggest character is what of what you're saying is that it's like that senile old man that like just keeps popping up Al Camp or something like that.
Oh yeah, like the founder of the studio.
He was
He's just that guy that's just a holdover from
from the
like
original
the
era.
original
Yeah.
days.
Mhm.
He does whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
He's like keeping people in basically a prison. He's like tying them up to trees and like taking pictures of them.
I mean, it's honestly still like that kind of in Hollywood.
It's,
I've got family
it's
members that are
A
in it.
Harvey Weinstein
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
exactly.
like thing that they're showing basically.
Yeah. And I think like Heath makes a good point. While a lot of this stuff like this isn't necessarily around in the same way, elements of it still linger. It again is it comes back to that thing of people are either doing whatever they can to be relevant and to be important,
Yeah.
and then the people that aren't important anymore are clinging on to whatever they can of that. Because at one point, like that camp guy you mentioned, he was the guy. You go to his estate to make yourself
To make
famous.
movies.
Yeah.
He was the Mickey Mouse Club basically.
Yeah, they call them the crazy kids, but it's like
they're crazy kids.
crazy with a K or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And now he's just a creepy old man.
yeah, and again, like credit to the artist and the colorist of when they show a character who you are supposed to just despise and be creeped out by, it's instantaneous. When you see that man for the first time, not even counting the weird flashback that you see him in.
He freaking like slaps like before you see him like in the part where he's like doing his like bad shit. He like comes into a room where they're just playing like an offshoot like poker game. And he slaps the shit out of a girl because he's like, you don't need to talk to me like that.
Yeah, it's his mix of he's going senile, but also he thinks he's more important than he actually is, and he has enough sway and money to kind of act like that. But
And then on top of that, it's you got what's his Crosby or something like that.
Mhm.
That is like, yeah, we hide that shit.
oh, he's like the head of security for Hollywood. He's the cleaner basically, where he makes problems go away.
Yeah.
That's his whole deal. And I love that character too, based on his design alone, where again, you
He
see
feels
that
like
man.
a Ray Liotta.
Yeah, like it's a man that you see, and if you ran into him, or worse, if he approached you, not knowing anything about this guy, you would know, oh, I'm in trouble, because he's just not a friendly person. And he's intimidated. He's exactly what he needs to be in this era of Hollywood that is transitioning into something new. And also, like, you have people who they should all be in jail. Everyone in this should probably be in jail. I can't stress that enough.
He literally kidnapped multiple people. And then I can't remember the guy's name. He's the black guy that was in Crazy Kids.
Oh, Flapjack?
Flapjack.
Yeah.
Okay. He's just like, yeah, that's just how things were. He's like, I don't want to muss up anything.
Alan moving
I'm just going
forward.
to keep my head down
Yeah.
and then just like keep going cuz it's making me money. So I don't want to like mess anything up, but
Yeah, and it's that thing of PTSD for him as well, where he is from this era of he was kind of one of the luckier kids back then who no one's bringing him to their trailer late at night for special hangout times, and he knows I've kind of got better off. I'm better off than most, and I just want to keep my head down. I'll just drink my sorrows away and just kind of coast, and I don't want to bring attention to myself. And it's that thing of like, well, why are people not bringing attention to this when it's so obvious that like, because the whole lead into the story is there is an actress that is up and coming. She's going to be in this picture that's going to be the best movie of the year, and this is going to be her big break. Well, Charlie finds her dead in her own apartment, and eventually that all gets out. But
oh yeah, he's like blackout drunk, and then all of a sudden like this gal that's gonna be in his movie that he's been writing. I'm doing quotation marks.
We'll get to that. Yeah,
we haven't even talked about that.
yeah.
But she's dead in his apartment, and
No, he's in her apartment, so it's even like
he's in her apartment.
that's why he
Okay.
leaves when he wakes up, and he doesn't call anybody because
Yeah.
he's like, I can't be here.
Yeah.
So again, that's what I love about Charlie is it's a complex man who, even if he wanted to do the right thing, he can't because he's not a great person. He's a person who,
he almost thinks he killed her.
But he has no clue what's going on. He don't know if he did it.
Yeah.
Or who did it. He was just there and he woke up beside her.
And at his heart, I think deep down, Charlie's the kind of guy who he hates what he's seeing. He hates what's happening, but he's a coward. And he might have his reasons for that, but it's more important at the end of the day that he protects himself. And the only reason that he stays involved with this as much as he does is because circumstances and people come into his life and force him to be more involved. And also, again, he's a man riddled with guilt. So if he could just do one thing right, for instance, expose who's killing this or who killed this woman, then yeah, like it might clear his conscience just a little bit. But he's doing it for himself at the end of the day. Oh, Bessie's here. Hey, Bessie.
Hey. Speaking of which, we would love to hear her review on the drink we drank tonight.
You want to do the drink review now?
Yeah, we might as well.
Okay. Well,
did you make her an extra?
Let's do this. Heath, tell people what we're drinking and what you think about it, and then Bessie, you tell us what you're thinking. Just push Higgins out of the way so you can take over that microphone.
We are pairing with a Manhattan tonight.
Ooh.
And we are using Bullet Rye Whiskey.
Bourbon.
Bullet Bourbon this time. Although the comic does reference Canadian Club in like the third photo.
It does say rye whiskey though, and that's what Bullet Bourbon is. So,
well, just real quick, Heath, you were a man of detail because I didn't even catch that. Well done.
No,
sir.
no, he sent me a picture, and I almost went to the liquor store to grab it just to hit it, but
you didn't.
I have had Canadian Club though; it's pretty good. But Bullet's amazing. But I saw that and I was like, why are we not using Canadian Club?
You flipped the table, demanded what's going on. But would you say this is good enough for you for now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's smooth, a little bitters, a little cherry, smooth finish. I'm normally not a straight whiskey type guy, so just a little bit of accent flavor kind of makes it very drinkable.
Takes it over the line for you.
Oh yeah.
I respect that.
I do love an old fashioned though, but this is pretty close to it.
It is, yeah. Bessie, you're here. What are you thinking about this? You tried
Bethany's already tried it, but
Higgins, please, Bessie. She's Bessie on the podcast.
Bessie.
Yeah, that's what I thought about it, was that it tasted a lot like an old fashioned, but it was like maybe a little bit sweeter with like the cherry. I probably would have added a little bit more of the sweet because I like sweet drinks, but a solid like 7, 8 out of 10.
Oh, we're rating now. Do you guys rate?
Right?
We can start, I guess.
Well,
what would you rate
the drink?
I'd give it like an 8 too.
Give it an 8.
It's pretty solid. I love rating pizza. Why not rate drinks?
What pizza would you pair with this Manhattan?
Oh man, everyone loves some good slices. That's for sure.
Meat lovers.
Meat lovers from Slices. A good local option for any and all who know what we're talking about.
Absolutely. My question is, do we eat the cherry at the end or just let it hang out?
I think it's an optional thing, and I feel like it'd be good. You know, it's absorbing some of that sweetness and vermouthness. So yeah, I think that would be good. I would rate this one man out of Hatton. Yeah, I think it's just an all around solid choice. It's got everything in there I need.
Pretty punny.
I'm not gonna lie. I've had an old fashioned. Manhattan's a better drink.
Oh,
my opinion.
Do you think it's because you appreciate the smoothness of the Manhattan over the old fashioned?
I'm just not a big whiskey guy. And an old fashioned like slams the whiskey in your face.
It's a lot of whiskey.
And then yes. Manhattan like kind of like introduces the whiskey to your face.
Yeah, like the Manhattan's the first date, you know? It's just you're taking things slow, but the old fashioned's taking you out back.
Yeah, no, like the old fashioned's like it's having sex with you in the corner.
Oh, very relevant to the comic we got going on.
There's a lot of sexy time in this comic, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of
there's
first
a lot of
date,
boobs, guys. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun visual read.
What were you about to say? He's speaking of first dates. Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, we got the first 6 issues this time.
Yeah.
Even though you ran ahead, I'm pretty salty.
Well, so I actually was already reading this before you guys picked it, so it kind of just worked out perfectly for me.
No, I've read I had read like the first 4 to 5 issues before we had like years ago. I had read the first like
it's not cheating if we didn't meet you before.
That's true. No, I get it. I'm just salty that I don't know what happens. I'm gonna have to chat about what happens after this.
What I'm gonna tell you is
no. You're not gonna tell me anything.
No, I haven't read it yet. I'm just gonna tell you. we're gonna bring you on for the back half
Okay.
and next year.
We'd love that. Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
down.
Next year will be. So this is the year of the guest. You are our 5th guest.
Nice.
So congratulations and also thank you.
Thank you.
But next year we're going to be doing just a revisit kind of year, and we'd love to have you on when we cover the back half of this, and then all that salt will be gone.
It will be. I'll know what happens.
Good.
But then I'll be salty because they haven't made a movie of it yet. Because
This
I
would be
think it
so
would
good
be
for
a
a
great-
movie.
This would be
Yeah.
a good movie.
The dialogue's great. Like Ed Brubaker has just such natural dialogue between characters.
Yeah, it feels like they're talking to each other.
Yeah, there are people that have existed, not some instances. Like we did a book not that long ago. It was the one about there's no gravity in the world. What was that one called? It was like Skybound or something? Skyward?
Skyward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
you nailed it.
Yeah, my problem with that one and the dialogue mostly was none of those characters felt like they existed out of the scene that we were reading. I don't have that problem here. And again, paired with the art, I mean, if you go back and look at it, everything is just so well realized and so well lived in. Like the wrinkles on the shirts are there from like
Yeah.
a guy who is just getting up at 10 a.m. The first thing he does is just make a little bit of coffee and pour bourbon into the rest of the cup. And he's been wearing the same shirt for a week and a half or whatever. It's just, it's so natural and it's so organic. And I love character interactions in this. And I love that they bounce around as often as they do. It mostly follows Charlie, but then we also have another character in the character of Gil, who is
That's
his
what I was
secret
about
writing
to,
mate.
That's what I was. What is that? What? Hold on.
That Manhattan's super smooth for you tonight, isn't
Yeah.
it? Higgins?
Oh yeah, he's Gil.
That's
is
what I was
Gil, yeah.
about to say with Gil Mason. We haven't even talked about him, but
Well, let's talk about him now, Higgins. Who is he?
it's a whole different aspect of what we were talking about, and in this time period where people hate communists. He was a writer, and I don't even 100% think that he was a communist, but he wasn't big enough to like break in, basically.
So essentially how Gil and Charlie are connected originally was before the war. Gil was the veteran writer. He was like the guy you go to. Charlie
Yeah.
was the new kid. And after the war, they both went over, did their thing. Again, PTSD, guilt, alcohol. They come back. They're just supposed to kind of forget everything that happened and pick up where they left off. They can't for obvious reasons. But what's interesting about the two of those, how they deal with that guilt and how it affects their lives. So in the case of Charlie, again, he's a coward. He keeps his head down. Gil, though, because of the guilt he feels, he almost wants to punish himself. So he
Yeah.
puts himself in positions that ruin his life.
He's always
he-
in the wrong place, and it references that.
yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that he ever says about himself is that I put myself in bad positions.
Yeah. It's a little murky and I don't 100% understand it. Maybe you guys picked up on things I didn't. It seems as far as the communist angle goes, because they're looking for like, Ronnie Reagan and his people. They're looking for communists, figuring out who's in there, who's doing bad stuff. And I guess either they suspected Gil or they were looking for someone that they thought was a writer.
No, what I read in the book is Gil told Charlie that he should turn him in. There was a section in the comic where he was like, I told you to turn me in, basically.
Yeah.
And that way they had like a way to keep making money, because Gil knew that Charlie couldn't write anymore after the war effort.
Yeah, because he has writer's block from his PTSD.
Yeah. Gil is a communist. He's not like just acting as a he is the people that the guys that they don't like are like searching for, but Charlie likes a safe face. That's his kind of his character.
What's interesting about Gil to me and how it plays into their friendship and relationship is Gil thinks he is an awful person and he wants to make amends the same way Charlie wants to, but also he, like Heath was saying, he wants to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He wants people to hate him as much as he hates himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And-
almost blacklisted himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, again, playing into their relationship is the only reason that Charlie kind of stays involved in this. Val Summers is the character that is murdered. That's what starts on the story. So Charlie returns to his apartment he's sharing with Gil, where they write together. And you know, he
which they keep that hidden as well.
Yeah, everything. So as far as Hollywood knows, minus a few like select people, Charlie's
know
just
each other.
writing.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality of it is, Gil is the writer. Charlie is the one who puts it on the page. He's
He's
the
the face.
dictator. Yeah.
They're kind of like splitting salaries, basically.
Which is kind of amazing to think that like they can do this and both, you know, have a house. And as someone who's in their 30s in 2024, just wow, what an era to be in.
Yeah.
Gil also had a wife too, and I think she lived there.
Yeah,
full time
Yeah.
a
also.
wife and kids.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Can
a
you
different
believe
story
that?
as well.
Yeah. And Gil and Charlie have this reluctant relationship where it's a codependency that they know they both need each other.
I think they're really good friends, but like Charlie's always pissed off at Gil,
I think
which is how I feel about me and you. I'm Gil and you're Charlie.
and we're always pissed off at each other or something. Yeah, okay.
I know that's what you want.
Is that what we're doing on this episode?
Yeah,
Is that-
exactly.
We're just airing our dirty laundry. Good. So wait, which one of us is the drunk or more of the drunk?
Who's the wife?
No, I'm Gil and you're.
You are.
I'm Gil and you're Charlie. Don't worry.
That's why.
I'm married to Gil, but secretly I want to sleep with Charlie.
That is.
Like,
Oh my
that's-
god, that is 100% what's going on, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a moment in this, and I forgot.
Yeah,
where,
you're definitely Valeria Summers.
No, his wife's like Gilda or something.
Oh,
But
okay.
there's a moment where, because every time Gil gets drunk, somehow Gil's wife knows exactly what landline to call Charlie on and wherever he's at and be like, hey, can you pick up my fuckwit of a husband? And he does, and he brings him back. And there's a moment, they're just talking because Gil's like passed out on the couch. It's just like, well, he used to make me laugh all the time. And she goes to hug him, and there's just this panel where they just look at each other, and it's like,
There's some awkward tension.
Yes.
There. It's Melba, by the way. Melba's the wife.
Melba. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Melba.
Yeah. Hell of a
God,
name.
what a name.
Yeah.
And again, playing into Charlie's guilt, he's guilty about everything. He's guilty just about everything he wants to do or does do. So he clearly also wants to sleep with this man's wife.
No, he
Does
is.
he, or is he-
No, he is. He is like
There's a
Officially.
line. Well, there's a line basically where he says, he's like, I know Gil loves her, and I hate how much I love her too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she clearly also loves Charlie. And as someone who has read the rest of this, just to give a little bit of a tease, there's more to Gil and Charlie's conflicted relationship than you already know about. I'll leave it at that.
Stay tuned for part
Yeah,
2.
I mean, if you want to find out more about that, just wait till Higgins airs more of our dirty laundry, since we're the same duo, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, I love characters like this where it's so fun, not in a great way, but just as a compelling way to read a book like this, where every character that interacts with another character, they're only talking about things on a surface level, and you know there's way more to this. Like, they all want to either yell at each other, kill each other, or fuck each other. That's everything that goes on in this book, pretty much until the end. And I love it. I think it's just, again, these people feel like real people, and I appreciate that. Heath, so...
Before you
Oh, yeah.
tap Heath, I do have to use the podcaster's room.
All right, you go use the podcaster's room. I'm going to ask Heath some questions.
I'll follow him.
Hold it.
So, we I'll leave all this in, Higgins. It's fine. If you flush and it makes sounds in the microphone, I'll leave that in too.
Outside.
You're just going to go outside?
Yeah.
Wow. Just a man who is comfortable in his own skin in his own home.
Just don't let your
You're
new
going to
cat
go out in the
see you.
front yard? Fucking animal.
He's going to be arrested.
Yeah. And then I'm going to have to call his wife.
Melba.
Melba, I did it again. So we've been talking a lot about the characters and like what's going on with them, but the other big element of this, of course, is the murder. As a noir kind of story, how they do this and how it works is pacing. You know, giving you little clues, giving you little hints of it might be this guy, it might be this person, this might have happened. Are you liking where that's going so far?
Man, I hate cliffhangers. I hate being surprised. It's in every issue is a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I kind of like it in this aspect of it because I can keep reading. But if this were on TV, I'd hate it. You got to wait till next week to know what's going on. But as far as the characters go, you know, halfway through, I don't know who did it.
Yeah.
Like Charlie was there. So he's the obvious suspect, even though police aren't investigating.
That's right. They rule it as a suicide, and they even have a picture where they hang her up, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, which is they altered everything.
It's
which
fucked,
you
yeah.
couldn't do that in today's world.
No.
but I don't know. I feel like Earl is somewhere involved.
Okay, so Earl's kind
I'm
of
kind of suspecting him.
yeah, because he's too cool and suave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he's just there conveniently all the time.
Yes.
Whereas most Hollywood actors nowadays, they just pop on set for their scene and then they go somewhere else. They're not always around.
That's true, yeah. And you kind of touched on something that I think is a staple of this old era where, and they play a lot into it with the other characters that are up and coming. Because after Val is killed, they have to refilm this movie with a similar looking blonde this is going to be her big break. And there's this idea of what's more important than acting in the movie is creating your character for real life outside of it. So there's a lot of instances with that character and Earl where it's like, okay, we're going to create this photo op where you're going to give this car to this guy. And before that, we set it up where a guy gets handsy with you and then this actor coming in punches you and it's like, we're dating. And so, yeah, there's a lot of that kind of, again, that fake.
Was that fake? I don't know. I
You're
didn't pick
talking
up on
about
that.
the Miles Silver.
Yeah, Armando, the trumpet player guy.
So Armando is her actual ex-husband. But there's another up and coming male actor. His name's Tyler something.
Oh yeah.
And that's interesting as well because there's a character named Dottie who is a publicist, and her job is basically Hollywood comes in. They're like, you need to make this guy a star, and also you need to make this girl a star. And she's clever. She's like, well, what gets people talking? Drama, relationships, love, sex.
Mm-hmm.
So let's set these two up. It's fake. And then and this kind of is towards the end of that cliffhanger you were mentioning where. Turns out that Tyler actor is gay, and
yeah, he's been.
Oh yeah, I did pick up on that.
He's been dating guys.
Yeah, and that brings in that security guy.
Brings, Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta's in there. He basically he can't threaten the actor because it's like, well, you got to look pretty for the camera. So he just takes his brass knuckles and beats the living crap out of that lover, and he's like, well, I fixed it. And I love that moment with that guy too, where he kind of gets his comeuppance just a little bit, where. The one thing he wasn't expecting was after that happened, the Tyler actor, in a fit of like just emotion, rage, guilt, all this stuff, takes his new car that his fake girlfriend gave him and drives
it off a cliff, basically.
And the security guy is like talking to Gil, basically saying
like, God dang it, man. And I can't believe it's like, what are these rich people doing, man? I'm just trying to keep these things on the rails.
And I love that. I just love the setup for it because, again, that whole part leading up to that is he's telling Gil basically this story of like, yeah, if you don't get in line, I'm going to make you get in line and I'm the best. And then immediately after, he's like, hold on, we got to pull over because the cops are here. Hey, what's going on? Ah, fuck.
I think the funniest line from him is he's like, literally, I don't care that you're like banging a dude. But like, why are you gonna make my job so hard?
Yeah, it's just like he's that one day from retirement guy where it's just like, can you just not
like make it easy for me? God dang it, man!
Yeah, and I love that moment. And Higgins, we were talking to Heath about like kind of again who's the murderer, who did it, kind of thing, the pacing of the mystery. Are you guys liking?
I think Charlie did it.
You think Charlie?
In his drunken rage.
You think your dog did it? Your dog Charlie, she's right there hanging out with Heath. Heath thinks Earl Rath did it. Kind of going back to, again, the pacing of it and giving out little clues and stuff. Again, visual elements are a huge thing of comics and huge thing of noir. What are the clues and how they're delivering to you guys? Like, how does that stand out to you? What do you like about it? What do you not like about how they're doing this? Just give me some thoughts.
I mean, like, they draw them out. The way that Ed Brubaker like brings out the plot, he does a really good job with like flashbacks. You go through the scenes, and you're like, this person's a shitty person, and then all of a sudden you see like a flashback with Al Camp, and he's got a girl tied to a tree from his like.
I was just looking at that scene. I was like, this is a weird part of the comic.
From his ranch days, I guess. And they're like, Charlie's like, yeah, we filmed here all the time. Like, it's not that big a deal. But then him and like the main girl that's like murdered,
Val, yeah,
were there, and he's like, she was really broken up about that. I wonder what that's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did kind of describe Val as like not like other Hollywood actresses. Like she had feelings. Like she talked. She didn't just like hide everything and pocket up like other actresses.
Well,
do.
and she also didn't do like Maya Silver is her like backup actress.
That's the replacement. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see her and she's like everybody's saying like Valeria, she's like she didn't do the normal things that everybody does. But you see like Maya Silver and she's like in her dressing room and she's in her dressing robe or whatever. And then like the main film guy comes in and he like walks through her door. He's like, "Oh, I know exactly which door where all the people are."
Yeah, he's a weird, creepy, like
Yeah, he pops
inside
through the-
entrance.
He was in the closet or
But
something.
he like pops through and she like basically just spares all for him and he's like, "Why the fuck did you do that for?"
Yeah, I love that moment as well, by the way, where, because earlier, so Maya Silver is more or less got the role of the replacement for Val, but you got to audition, you got to kind of play it up a little bit, and essentially she's auditioning for the producer, the man you're mentioning, and he's the one who is probably the most torn up about this Val character because he fell in love with her.
He like kind of brought her up,
Yeah.
basically.
But he wants to, I guess, maybe like see if he can attach himself to this new woman. And so he takes his weird entrance into the creepy hallway into her room, and she drops the robe. And the moment you're referring to, as far as I took it, was, because he's like, "Why did you do that to yourself? You look like a child." It's because she shaved.
Oh yeah, no, that's she shaved her bush.
And I love that, like, he's mad. He's like, "Oh, you're that's disgusting." And it's like, what are you doing, man? It's like, maybe look at yourself for a second. And I love that, like, the agent who is the one that told her to do
Reeves
that,
or whatever.
yeah, he's kind of a creep, but it's an interesting thing to go like, yeah, this guy's a creep, but because he's a creep, he knows exactly how these guys think.
He's giving them the best chance to break out, basically.
Yeah, because and that's the thing about this early Hollywood era as well. And as two men kind of being the lead on this creative team for this comic, you kind of forget that it's two men writing women. Well, Ed Brubaker specifically, but like the female characters in this, we don't see a ton of Val, but whenever we do, and it's kind of what you guys are saying, she's got depth to her.
They feel right.
Yeah. Again, to not see a lot of the character that is immediately murdered, you only get her in flashbacks in like kind of instances and interactions with other characters. I really enjoyed it. Heath, I don't know kind of how you felt about like Maya Silver, Val Summers. Just kind of tell me what you're thinking about those characters.
I don't know. They do a weird way of kind of explaining the differences in it. It's like Maya comes in as the replacement. However, she like glows up with fame.
Yeah.
She embraces the moment. She turns into like the ultra, like, I'm more famous than you type person. Like,
Yeah.
it's awkward. It's almost like a Marilyn Monroe vibes.
I could see
Same
that.
kind of era too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, she was more 60s.
Yeah, but the same energy for sure. Yeah.
But I do like how they do give a little background about each character just to kind of explain. They don't just drop a character in and expect you to know their background or what they're about or what they do. So I liked that about it. It's very good illustration when it comes to that and writing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like they give you just enough to get you interested in a character and learn a little bit more about them, so you understand their motivations, how they interact with people, what they're doing. Like Maya Silver is a great character, and that's what Heath was kind of talking about, where when those lights come on, when those cameras start rolling, she's on and she's loving it.
Popping. She is Valeria Summers, basically.
Speaking of that, it's weird how they keep going back and forth between Val and then Valeria.
Yeah, and
it does get confusing.
It does, and it's kind of that thing too of I think it's supposed to be this idea of
how close the people are to these actresses.
Yes,
Valeria is like, we're friends. Val is the actress.
Yes, and you also find out from that Flapjack character that's not even her actual name.
That's not her name.
Yeah,
like she's Jennifer Summers, but
Summers with a U.
With a U.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the
instead of an O.
Yeah, her headstone.
Yeah.
And then you also get what hit. That's the other part of the whole Hollywood thing is he was part of the Crazy Kids like stage, and like everybody loves him. And Charlie eventually like starts talking to him about like all of this, and he's like, Why are you messing it up, man?
Oh, I think you're talking about Flapjack, right?
Yeah, Flapjack.
Yeah.
He starts talking to him, and he's like, "Why are you bringing up all this stuff? Like, I'm just trying to like stay under the radar."
I think it comes back to that message of guilt and PTSD of where the reason why he doesn't want to talk about Val isn't because he murdered her. It's because it reminds him of a time he'd rather forget about. And that's a lot of this for these characters is they either have done some things that are awful or they watched it happen and have survivor's guilt. And I think that's kind of his deal is he just wants to, like you said, keep his head down, just kind of coast and get his money and not just avoid it. And
Yeah, basically just get his money and run.
yeah, and Charlie's more or less the same way, but it's almost like he's got so much baggage, and also he has this other guy in the character of Gil who is pushing him to look into it and figure out again who did this. Because if you think about it, all he really had to do is keep his mouth shut because they had already taken care of it. They had covered it up as a suicide. He knew that wasn't the truth, but he could have let it lie. But instead, and he mentions this, he told Gil. The reason he told Gil, he says to the reader, is because it would let him basically be the guy who keeps it all together. I don't think that's true. I think maybe to a point it is, but I think ultimately the reason why he told Gil is because he knew that Gil's the kind of guy that wouldn't let it go, which means he wouldn't be able to let it go. So it almost pushes him to be the better person and figure out what's going on and who killed this girl who, as far as he knows, I think he has a line about it basically is she's the kind of girl that you need to protect. And again, he didn't do that. And what's worse is he can't remember what happened that night because he's the first person that found her and he was with her and he has glimpses of that. I also love that element of how they give clues away about that night where everyone in this era, of course, is just taking a drag every 5 seconds of the day. And so flashbacks, images that come flooding back to him are shown in smoke, cigarette smoke. So you see like there's an image of Val and she's talking to him, but she's made out of smoke. And then you see like the red lipstick. That's like a big visual thing. I just, again, to give clues away in that way with this era, I think it's just the perfect match.
I think I like the way that whenever they go to like scenes that they're filming as well, it goes to black and white. It just kind of changes the scene for you without telling you that it's changing the scene.
Absolutely,
It makes you understand a lot more.
Yeah, and it sets the tone of like what do movies look like. And then there's also another element of that of just actual flashbacks, like the moment in the woods where everything's kind of washed out because it's a little hazy and also it's just not a pretty memory. But then you have pops of color. Like the thing I also really like about Val and Maya and the comparison and contrast that they do in the art is they are very different, but also there's things that obviously put them together in a way where, of course, they picked this girl to be the next. I think they call her the replacement blonde. Where in the flashback that Higgins has been mentioning with Al Camp, she was wearing red pants. Well, they bounce back and forth between Charlie and her in that moment, and Maya and him in a different moment, and she's wearing a dress that has a little bit of red kind of like at the top of it, and that's clearly intentional because unless you're looking at them straight on in the art, they're the same exact person.
You're talking about me being detailed. I didn't even catch that.
It's a 1-for-1. Like they nailed the replacement basically.
Yeah, and yet at the same time they are so different, but also so flawed. And what also is interesting about these first 6 issues and kind of stopping here, and I know he's not like, he wanted to keep reading, which is good.
That shows you that it's actually a good comic, guys.
Absolutely.
You can read it.
Yeah. While you're learning so much about them, because compared to other people in this story, they're probably some of the more open about what they're thinking, what they're feeling. But at the same time, there's moments where you go, oh, like they're still hiding so much. Like Heath was saying with Val and Valeria, there's the actress, then there's the person, but then there's also the real person. Like, yeah.
One thing that I noticed, I don't know if you guys caught on this guy, they keep referencing the guy beside Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, they do.
And they can't figure out who it is. And secretly, I think that might have something to do with it at the end.
Well, they like kind of like bring it up. He's towards the end of the thing, and they kind of like figure out he might be like an FBI agent.
Yes, because so apparently Ronnie Reagan was like was planting
Informing,
people.
basically.
Yeah, he's planting informants in from the FBI into Hollywood into like higher positions to weed out communists. But if they don't have any actual communists involved, then
Might as well just like throw a couple names and just say this guy might be.
Yeah, and like put the pressure on people like Charlie, which is kind of what led to Gil's blacklisting of like, hey, give us a communist.
It started off the way you're saying it, where he just like tossed them under the bus. But then Gil was like, maybe I am a little bit.
Or was he?
Well, that's a big thing about this book, even in these first 6 issues, isn't it? Is like, was it this? Was it that? The opening kind of page of this is Charlie gives this monologue basically of right after Pearl Harbor, there was like this national order to black out the cities at night. So basically, if there were Japanese planes still out there, they wouldn't see you and wouldn't attack you. And there were stories of people would go out in the middle of the night and they'd look up and they'd hear the planes. But Charlie's perspective of that is, I went outside almost every night and
I didn't see shit.
Well, all I saw was stars, which normally you couldn't because of all the light pollution. And he has this line of basically like, people play more into the lies because it's more entertaining, essentially. I think that's an important line to kind of keep mind of for this story. And also, again, the setting of there is so much going on at this era of Hollywood, you know, and so much of it is shady, but it's also to the point where how much of this is even real?
Yeah.
Which makes the murder even harder to solve because obviously, you know, based on what you see when you find Val's body, you see like strangle marks. Like it's obvious she was murdered.
She's murdered.
But Charlie can't remember it. He's the only one that is thinking about it that was there. So then you have like Heath was mentioning that guy in the picture. It's that thing of, I think I know this guy. I think maybe he was there, but also maybe Earl was there, or maybe this was there, and I remember this happening. Like there's so many people that could have done it, but also it could just be none of those guys, and there's another person that he's forgetting.
Feels like what's that movie with Guy Pearce, Memento?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost seems like the whole thing is just a big movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all a screenplay. There's no background. It's none of it's real.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else I necessarily want to cover for now. Trust me, there will be plenty to get into when we cover the back half of this later down the road. If you guys are ready for it, though, I
just want Heath to tell me what his rating is.
That's where I was leading into, Higgins. Exactly. Yeah. So Heath, if you're not
the ratings don't mean anything,
and yet they mean everything. So what would you rate this comic if you were going to recommend it to a random stranger?
I'm going to go the professional route.
Okay.
How about that?
all right.
We don't give ratings in the professional world.
Okay. What do we
You
do?
just get reviews.
Okay.
I would say this one exceeds expectations.
Ooh,
It was above what I was thinking about it.
All right.
I love that.
All right.
Give that a number what you will.
Man, not only is that a great review, it's also the first official review we've probably done on this podcast. So well done. Well done.
There we
Heath.
go. There we go.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give it 3 sexy cigars.
3 sexy cigars. Wow. Charlie gives it a 1
Charlie
howl.
gives it 1.
I think that's a good thing.
I think it's good, but also I think she needs to potty, Higgins.
Yeah.
Let her out. Let the podcast dog go to the bathroom. And in the meantime, I will give it a final rating. So I think for all the reasons we talked about, and also I agree completely with Heath's review, it did exceed my expectations. I am going to rate this one 4 out of 5 blondes.
4 out of 5 blondes.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 blondes. And the only reason that it doesn't get the full 5 is because we had to end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about the rest of the story, unfortunately.
Yeah, if it's already exceeding expectations, I don't know how it would go any higher than that.
Exactly. So yeah, overall, and microphone's
4.
open. The floor is open, Bessie. What do you rate this?
Yeah, I'll let her speak.
Let her get the floor.
Okay. Whoa, excuse me. Okay. 4 perfectly round, perfect titties.
That's perfect.
In your rating system, are boobs larger than titties?
That's a good question.
What's larger than boobs?
Yeah, but they're perfect, so.
That's really all that matters, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll come back to that.
I think melons.
We can
melons
ask
is the
Higgins
biggest
whenever
step.
he comes back in, because he just goes boobies, but that kind of sounds like
Higgins is
kind
a
of sounds like a
child.
kid. But if you go like titties, that's like big.
I think
Yeah,
Higgins just
that's
took a leak as well.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Titties.
All right. But Bessie, while you're on the microphone,
Yeah.
is there a new segment that we could go into and maybe a theme song to go? All right, can y'all do that one more time and not blow my eardrums out, please?
Never.
Yeah, that hurt.
Do you guys
Hey,
like?
real quick,
Oh.
Higgins, are titties bigger than boobs?
No, boobs are the bigger of the titties.
That's 2 versus 1 there.
All right, I guess we win. Or I guess y'all win. All right, can y'all do that? Can y'all do that?
do it together.
We gotta
Yeah, do it in unison.
Banana, rings for squares.
Love it. Much better.
Got the whisper.
Clean take. All right, so that means that we are into the final segment of the show, which is where we talk about things that we've been watching, playing. Basically, if it's not a book, you can cover it. Heath, you are our special guest for the month, so please, anything that you're getting into that falls into that.
Movies, TVs,
Anything.
games, anything you like specifically want to talk about.
I don't know, man. Games are different for me. I'm a sports gamer. I love sports games.
You were talking about NHL earlier, so is there
You were,
I did
you
see
were
someone-
talking to me. You were talking to me about the Masters,
Yes.
the golf game.
Yes.
Have
The
you been
Masters
playing
golf
that?
game. I have not been playing that. It was free a couple weeks ago to play it when the Masters was on.
Okay, so is
But
that
while I was watching a streaming application on my phone,
love it?
somebody was playing NHL Hits 2003, and that really took me back. So I loved that game. It's the Blitz version of NHL.
Okay,
It takes me back to 2003. Yeah, roughly 8th grade. So
okay.
a lot of fun there.
I-
But also, EA College Football 25 is coming out, and I'm the most excited person for that because there hasn't been a college football game since 2014.
Because of like rights and likenesses or whatever, right? So this is the first one that they're coming back to. Okay, good. I like, as someone who doesn't necessarily know or get super interested in sports, I have dipped into an occasional sports video game, and I remember them being pretty fun. Is it just because there hasn't been one of these in so long that you're excited about it?
That's the hype. It's like everyone missed it whenever they cut it out back in 2014.
Okay,
And so people still play it. You go on eBay to try to buy the game, and it's like over $100 because
Ooh.
even though it's 11 years old at this point, because they haven't made one.
yeah,
So
it's a relic at that point. Yeah,
yeah, and now they're gonna have like actual. Back then, you couldn't put the real names in, and so
Oh,
now
okay.
with the licensure, they're allowed to like use actual players that are real life. It's not just John
that's what
Smith
it-
is playing quarterback.
That's
you know?
what it's going for like the NCAA, right?
Yeah, with the NIL. name.
2025, like they're like able to put like names on the jerseys.
Yeah, players can
Even
get paid.
even like back in the
like-
day when they used to like do the thing, it would be like just number 24, and you're like,
Yeah,
I
or they
mean
would
that's
give a fake
obvious.
name,
That's
yeah.
obviously like Lamar Jackson, but we can't put his name on the jersey. It's just gonna be his number.
Well, I think the most important part that Heath brought up is they can get paid now. So I think that's great.
No, like even now, like college football players now are getting like paid for like
They can take
commercial
sponsorships and whatever.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I think each player in college football now gets like a check, like I don't know,
It's the NIL.
$10,000 just
something
to
like-
be in the game,
Excellent. Okay.
and that's hundreds of players. Like that's
Yeah.
a lot of money
Sure.
that you got to pay out. But heck, I think it's worth it.
Well, and I think I'm pretty sure they would have, crunched their numbers and did their spreadsheets where, because they do have to pay these players now, it'll probably pay off for them because one, it is a big deal that it's coming back. When was the last one? As far as the year that came out?
2014.
Yeah, 2014 was the last NCAA,
Okay, so
game.
yeah, 10 years, and so that's a big deal.
and
But
people are really upset about it too.
yeah, I think the most important part again for me is someone who doesn't necessarily get super involved in all this stuff. Love that people are getting paid. Always a big fan of that, and I love that people are hyped about it and get to play it. I imagine that because did these particular set of games, did they play any differently than like the professional versions?
No, it's Madden basically.
It
But-
uses a Madden engine, but it's like you can take yourself and be a high school kid in the middle of nowhere, and you can work through the whole recruiting path.
That's
Commit
fun.
to whatever university you want to at whatever position.
Yeah.
Start as a third stringer, work your way up to a Heisman candidate, and eventually get drafted. Like, I love the whole story mode of it. It's like it's something that I could never do in real life. So it's It's almost a fantasy for me, kind of. It's weird.
It's like professional football or work up to professional football simulator.
And then they connect the games now so that whenever you do get drafted by said professional team, you can now put in Madden 25.
Oh, and you can take that character
and you can play yourself professionally.
That's
so
cool.
It's kind of a cool way.
Nice. Love it. Okay, excellent. When does that come out?
I think they just put the cover out this week, actually.
Okay, excellent.
And usually they're asking for who's the cover star, who's going to be the athlete.
That's
all of
always the
college
big
football.
question on any of those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think they stuck with 3. I
Okay.
don't remember who it was.
No, I saw it was I saw the picture,
It's like 3.
and it was like a Michigan guy,
Quinn Ewers from Texas.
Texas guy, and then God, I can't remember. the
Jalen
other guy.
Milrow from Alabama was on it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
But there's
yeah.
another. Yeah, that image I saw, and then the actual 3 cover athletes are the Michigan guy, the Texas guy, and one other person. I
Nice.
don't remember who it is.
Okay, they probably get a little.
There's a lot of excitement around that game for sure. I don't know if I'll pay $100 for it because that's what the price tag's going to be.
That's ridiculous.
Because they're only offering a deluxe edition right now, but we'll see.
Ah, I see. Yeah, because they probably want to get people to pre-order who are gonna pre-order at the most they can. That way, because that is the only thing about.
They got to pay the players too.
Yeah, they got to pay the players, which means like, and that's the dicey part where it's like they could just charge probably a standard price and they would still make good money, but also they want that bottom line to hit a certain amount. So, point is, I guess I'm glad that one, players are getting paid, and also people are going to get to play this again because I know that people really enjoy that, and we're sad to see it go. So I think that's amazing. Nice. So you're looking forward to that. Maybe you'll get to play it for more than 10 minutes. Who's to say? You have a child, so
I do. I'm more invested in his games and Pokemon and Legos and all of that nowadays.
Oh, okay. He's playing. Is he? You say he's like 5, right? Is he playing Pokemon already?
Oh man, he doesn't play,
Okay.
but he does collect the cards.
Oh, he collects cards.
And
Lovely.
it's weird because growing up in our era, we knew like the original 150 Pokemon. There's over 900 now, and I'm like, I don't know what this one is. Sorry, buddy.
You literally,
I have to read the card. This is what he does.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to this crowd about Pokemon.
Actually,
So
I'm
learning more though.
yeah. Like
no, we already know. Is what I'm saying
Well,
basically.
Oh, okay.
I am a little lost past like Gen 7, and I think they're up to 9 now.
That's
so
more than
I feel your pain in that way where it's like, yeah, your kid's probably like, tell me everything, you know everything, and it's like, I don't know this.
Yeah, thinking back to the childhood does hurt because I had every single original 151 card, and that's worth a lot of money now.
It hurt my feelings too when I found out how much they were worth.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, to see like to look at a card and see it go for like $500 on average,
It makes
and
me
then
sick, man.
also go, oh, I had like 3 of those that I no longer
Yeah.
have.
Oh, you mean that holographic Charizard that we can get at any point in time? Yeah.
Just like,
Here's $2,000 down the drain.
yep.
I think I sold it to a pawn shop for like $150, $1 a card. Like, oh, geez.
I really thought I scammed them back then.
I did too. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Like I'm glad your kid's getting it. I mean, that was probably around the age I got into that as well. So it's coming full circle for you, and it's probably a different experience for you as the parent now.
It is with the Pokemon, but honestly, my kid, man, he can take Legos and build anything you can imagine.
Love it. Okay.
We've been to the Lego convention up in Atlanta, and
Oh, okay.
it's wild.
Nice.
Like my imagination could not do what he does with them.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It's like, if you're an engineer, thanks. Like you're making more money than I am.
He's
kid.
off to a good start. It sounds like.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, man. I think that is all we're gonna do today, though.
I think it's all.
Yep. You can finish that if you want. That sentence.
No, I mean, he doesn't need to be here for the rest of it, though, right?
I mean, if Heath needs to leave, then he can. But as a strong, independent man, I'm going to let him make that decision.
All right.
I'll hang out.
Okay,
Why
he'll
not?
hang out. Well, great. Excellent.
Good.
So, in that case, you can hang out for the rest of the show, which is where we tell people what we're doing next time, who we're going to have with us next time, and how they can get in touch with us if they want to. Higgins, just give some insight into all that.
All right. So we have our buddy. This is the year of the guests. So we have our buddy Brad Cobb, who is from the fame of Dive Bloom YouTube fame.
Oh, that's right. You gave him a shout out last episode. I remember that. Yeah.
No, he's doing it up. He is making the videos. He's doing better than we are. He's pumping them out left and right. But he wanted to come up and hang with us lesser people
That's big of
and
him.
make a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do an episode with him, and it's gonna be with the book Outcast. Jesus,
Is
I
it
can't remember.
Outlast?
Outlast.
You were thinking
And
of the
then
band,
yeah,
of the
and I
musical
can't-
group, yeah. But it's Outlast. It's called
Outlast.
like the Murkoff account or
the
something.
Murkoff accounts.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Which
we're
is
gonna do
based
that
on
with him.
it's based on a video game, I think, right?
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, Brad will tell us when we do that. But I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, it's the
It's
Outlast,
something I've never heard of before.
Yeah,
but-
I didn't know they made a comic. I knew about the video game where it's kind of one of those games where you don't have any weapons. You have like a flashlight that batteries drain, and if monsters show up, you need to hide in a locker until they leave, I think.
Survival game.
Yes, survival.
So it's a horror game.
It's a
Okay.
horror game, and this is going to be a horror comic. So we'll get into that with Brad. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I've never played that video game. I know of it, but I'm interested to see what they're doing in the comic realm with that, because that could be a pretty good thing. It could also not. We'll let Brad tell us if it is next month.
It'll be fun.
It'll be super fun.
He wanted to talk to us. Like I said, he has a YouTube channel called Dive Bloom. Check it out. He talks about Helldivers 2 and other stuff.
Oh, he could talk about the controversy that Helldivers 2 just went through.
Exactly, probably.
Yeah, it's over now, but he could talk about it. Excellent. So yeah, we'll get Brad on that next time.
You can find us on a lot of things. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Higgins 93. You can find me on Instagram at jserm93. You can find Snoop at Snoop_Lynch
On Instagram.
on Instagram.
It's true.
He is on there sometimes.
I poke my head in. I see what's going on.
I don't know if Heath wants you to find him anywhere, but he dyes discs.
I do. I'm Day Drinker Disc Dies.
He's
Oh,
a
you're
disc
the-
golf. We're both disc golf boys, and
I didn't realize you were the one who's dyeing Higgins discs this whole time. Okay,
Yep,
nice.
Yep, that's me. Day Drinker Disc Dies. And then Heath on Hyzer. HYZER.
Excellent. Okay, nice.
Both on Instagram.
Love it.
You can also talk to us about anything. We would love for you to like ask us about basically anything you want. I'll tell you what color underwear I'm wearing. But we want to hear from you.
Higgins, that's real cute to tease people into thinking that you wear underwear.
I wear underwear most times. I shrug my shoulders a little bit. I'm trying to think of our email. It's thecomixologyclub at gmail.com. No, that's wrong. Thecomixologyclub at 0-0-8. God, you're gonna have to do it, Snoop.
No, I really want to watch you struggle with this. This is fun. So
Don't edit this out. though.
no, of course not. Yeah.
All right, the Comixology Club at 0-0-8 studios.com.
Great. Now, can you put the microphone down and do that one more time, where
All right.
we can actually hear you?
All right, you'll find us at the email that's 0-0-8 studios.com.
Oh, he did it. He did it perfectly.
Props.
Props to you, Higgins. Big props. Big ups.
Thanks, man.
Bethany's giving you some applause.
Quiet
uh,
applause.
So yes, you can find us there. You can email us there. You can find us at the things that Higgins said if you want to just message us separately.
Too many goddamn Manhattans. I guess Bethany will be able to tell you how good those Manhattans are here soon.
It's true.
He had more than just one.
I
word.
had to put in that thing for Bethany to give her review that we recorded.
Yep. So yes, you can find us at all those things. You can also give us a review. We appreciate those. That most people do it on iTunes. I'll leave a link to any and all things relating to that in the podcast description below. Join us next month for our next guest, which is Brad. We're going to talk about Atlas, not Outcast. I mean, we might. That's up to Brad. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to having you all there. Thank you for joining us this time. I will say cheers, guys. That's what I say. Heath, say something you would like to say.
Man, I just really appreciate you guys for having me on. It's
Oh,
been a lot
man.
of fun. I appreciate the free drink.
That's what-
Didn't have to pay a bartender.
Exactly.
really
yeah.
yummy.
I might tip them later, I guess.
You don't have to. It's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. We didn't even mention that. Thank you for being on this episode with us. Yes, we really appreciate you, and we look forward to having you back when we cover the back half of this this crazy
Yeah,
book.
that's gonna happen. By the way, I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to be here. I'm actually going to go ahead and read ahead because I want to
Excellent.
know what happens.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that salt that's in you right now.
I know.
And I get that.
I
That's
got
why
high blood pressure, man. I got to watch the salt.
got to keep that cholesterol down.
Yeah.
All right, Higgins, you floor's back to you one
I
last
was
time.
thinking like, hey, let's see. It's great to see you guys. It's the end of the night. Bye bye, guys.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Hey, so B.
Yeah.
I made us Manhattans.
Yeah.
What do you think of them?
It was all right. Like, it wasn't my favorite drink. I'm more of a fruity type gal, you know? But it did taste a little bit closer to like an old fashioned. I thought that an old fashioned was a little bit sweeter, but maybe not. Jared says differently, but whatever. I think it was a really good drink.
Yeah. right.
One is like the limit for me for that drink though.
Maybe like 5, but yeah.
No. One drink is the limit.
All right. Well, we'll see what Heath has to say about that.
Yeah.